What's up guys, it's Joe with J Blake Photo. Before I get into today's video, I just want to make it clear I'm recording this currently in the midst of the global pandemic COVID-19. Things are a little crazy out there, so stay safe, stay healthy, and if you can stay home, do it. Now I just got back from Zion National Park where I was doing some camping, some hiking, some mountain biking, and I kind of want to go back. But while I was gone, we got some new information, some leaks, some specs from Canon about the new mirrorless camera coming out, the R5, as well as some other details and some regulatory filings. So we've got a lot of information, and I'm going to break this up into two videos. In this video, I want to talk about the updated information that we have on the dual card slots, as well as the beefed up battery. And on a quick programming note, in my last video, I got a lot of comments about the audio quality and specifically the autofocus noise that you were hearing while I was recording. There were two reasons for that. Number one, I was using my shotgun mic because my wireless was dead. And also I was using my Sigma art lens instead of the lens that I have right now. But I'm back to the wireless lav. I'm back to my favorite Tamron lens now that it's back from repair, and everything should be sounding pretty good. So let's get into it. As always, just a reminder, if you like videos like this where we talk about cameras and specs and news and leaks, go ahead and hit the like button. It helps my channel on the YouTube algorithm. I really appreciate it. And of course, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so you're notified when I put out new videos. Also, I am posting a lot of the photos that I took on my Zion trip to my Instagram account. Go ahead and check that out over at jblake.photo and follow me there. Let's get talking about the Canon EOS R5 mirrorless flagship camera that's going to be coming in the summer. We do have some information about delays, but we don't have any specific confirmations on that. We may or may not get the Olympics as a result of this global pandemic, but for now we're operating on information that we have, which is that we should still be getting this camera hopefully in the summer. So we got some leaked spec information in regards to first the card slots. Now, as you know, Canon was really kind of panned when they released the Canon EOS R because it only had the one SD card slot. But SD cards not only are not super strong, they're pretty flimsy, but they're also not super fast, especially when you get into super high burst rates and big video files. So the information that we're seeing out of Canon now is that the EOS R5 will come with dual card slots, which definitely is an attribute that is just required to be considered a pro camera. So it will have dual card slots, but my question was always, what will those card slots be? Now, I am always of the opinion that those card slots should match. That way you can get feature parity between those two cards, and you can really truly use them as a backup to the first card. Thinking about event and wedding photographers where you're photographing an activity or an event that's really only going to happen once. You can't repose and recompose. You're going to need to get that shot, and you're going to need to get it on that card. And if for whatever reason it doesn't end up on the card or the card fails, which is rare, but it does happen, I've had cards fail, then you want to have that backup. But if you've got two different card slots that have two different feature sets, two different speeds, two different options, then it just makes things confusing, and it's just one other kind of choice or decision or thought process that you have to go through when really you just want to plug two cards in and get shooting. So the word that we're getting right now is that it will have one SD card slot and one CF Express slot. Now, I do applaud Canon for putting a CF Express slot in this camera. It definitely does bring it up a notch in terms of the professional level, brings it up with the 1DX. However, the one CF Express and one SD card slot means that while you might be able to do backup on the two, you won't be able to write to both of them at the same speed, and there's going to be a couple of caveats, a couple of things that you may or may not be able to do. So I want to kind of go over just quickly the speeds that you normally run into with CF Express and SD UHS-2. So depending on the card and the way they spec out this slot, CF Express can write up to 1,000 megabits per second. Now that's a lot. You might think that it's overkill, but if you think about it, an SD card slot with UHS-2 is limited to about 200 to 300 megabits per second or megabytes per second, and that's really only in the event that you have a super fast card. So now if this camera can actually shoot 12 to 20 frames per second in Canon RAW, probably Canon RAW 3 or CR3, where those files are probably going to be between 15 and maybe 30 megabytes per shot, and you're shooting 12 to 20, you can see that that SD card is going to be slower than the burst rate, which means that once the buffer fills up, the speed at which the buffer can dump to the card is going to be slower than maybe you'd want to be able to shoot. So there's a potential for a bottleneck there. Now, the CFast card is not going to have a problem with that at 1,000 megabits a second, or megabytes a second. I'm going to make that mistake all day long. But the other thing to think about is for video specifically. 8K video, even if they are using an HEVC H.265 highly compressed codec here, and we don't know what the codec is going to be yet, though we do know it will be full frame, 30 frames per second, we're probably going to be looking at almost 200 megabits per second or 200 megabytes per second. So that would definitely cap out the bandwidth into an SD card, even the fastest SD cards, which means that you're writing to the CFast card but not the SD card. I'm going to venture a guess that you will not be able to write 8K footage internally to anything other than the CFast card. Now that's not really a big deal, but my concern there would be, again, on the backup side, what happens if you're trying to shoot 8K footage of an event and your CFast card dies and you want to have that SD card as a backup. Now, you wouldn't have that problem if you had two CFast cards. If you had two SD cards, you probably wouldn't be able to shoot 8K in the first place. So I totally understand the feature position there. So down in the comments, let me know your thoughts on this SD card and CFast card combination. I know other camera manufacturers have done it, but I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are on it. If you prefer two SD cards to keep it cheap, do you appreciate the fact that we're going to get the extra speed with the CFast card? Do you think it's worth it? And would you have preferred to have two CFast card slots? Do you think they could fit that in this body? You know, brought up the cost. Let me know down in the comments. So now moving on from the card slots to the battery. Now this was actually really interesting. We got a regulatory filing about a new camera coming from Canon where we believe it's the R5. And it mentions specifically a new battery. Now we've heard about new batteries from Canon for like 2 years. I think every single new camera that's been leaked has been leaked as using a new battery. But then they just keep coming out with that LPEN6. What we're seeing now is a new battery with an H modifier on the end of it, which we believe is indicative of high capacity. Now the high capacity battery is actually rated for a higher amount of power. The normal battery that you normally shoot, the battery that I'm shooting with right now, is 1865 milliamp hours. That's the rating, that's the size of the battery. Traditionally, a battery in like a cell phone is somewhere between 2,500 and 4,000 milliamp hours, and this battery is listed at 1865. That's the regular one that you can get today. The battery that's coming out with this camera, or the battery that's been listed in the regulatory filings, is actually closer to 2,130 milliamp hours, and that's a 15% increase. I'll be honest, while I would expect this battery to perform in any other camera, maybe with a firmware update, to be able to get a little bit more life out of a battery. Now I'm sure that we'll be able to realize this additional 15% in older cameras that take this style battery. I expect it to be the same size, maybe with a firmware update, but I think that the 15% increase is actually going to be to support the additional power that's probably going to be coming out of the new chip in the R5. The R5 is going to need a lot of horsepower to be able to process 8K footage, burst rate that they're talking about, and also do some of the autofocus calculations that it's going to be doing. My assumption is that with this new chip, they're going to need more power. And with more power means a quicker battery drain. So with the new battery, they should, I think, be able to make up for that. So you'll probably see the same number of shots, the same amount of usage available in the R5 with the updated larger battery, which I assume will come standard in the box. Now, I don't know if that means I'm going to go out and buy all new batteries when this thing comes out, but I'm excited to see that they maybe saw that there was an increase in need for power, and so they designed a new battery around it. So that's pretty cool. I'm excited to see all this stuff. I'm excited to see the leaks and the information that we're getting out, and I'm going to be doing another video here very soon about the specs that we just got in the last 24 hours about the updated 8K shooting, crop, and all that stuff. So I'm going to go over that with you here in a future video, so stay tuned. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Go ahead and hit like if you like videos like this, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram to see all the photos from my recent trip to Zion National Park, as well as Maui. And unfortunately, I will not be going to Holland as all flights have been canceled, but hopefully this will all clear up soon and I'll be able to reschedule that trip. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.